daisy back here, it's white. You think it's white, but if you really look at it, it's really green. With a little touch of white that makes you think, oh, this is a white thing. And then there's oranges and purples in here, there's blues. And if you look for the actual white, there's very little of tube white on there. Most of the other is medium value, and it's grays, but it's a green gray, a blue gray, a yellow gray. So what I'm going to do here is mix those colors for you, or I have mixed the colors, but I'll talk through them because I didn't want it to take so long if I mix the colors. And I'm using so I'm just going to, and this is just the color that I had on my brush. It's not a big, mystery. I just want to get some lines here so that I have an idea where the different parts of the bird are. And I probably should have given myself a lot more space. But, I'm always running out of room. And then that'll be the water. In this area, I want it to be grayer. Another way to do this, see that's really dark, but I think we're going to need to be kind of dark in here. Another way to think about it is I could do this whole thing in just gray, light and dark values of gray, and then put the colors in later if it's too much to think about right now at this stage. And if I squint here, I can see lots of dark. I don't see too much black except right there on, those feathers or whatever that is in his face. But I could put that in because that makes it easier for me to judge my other values if I get the darkest dark on there. Okay, I'm not going to put the beak in yet. So, let's see. So if this is my darker, I can even get a little bit darker. I think I'd rather have something that has more blue in it. So I'm going to pick up just a little bit of blue and mix it into my gray. Just so you see a little bit of a variation in here. And that just makes it look more like black. Like black out as a tube. But down in here I'm seeing some reflection from the water. So I'm going to pick up like straight blue. So I can add all of these pretty colors. Normally I wait to the end to do that, or when I see it, because sometimes it's just easier to add it in when you see it. Okay, so back in here I'm seeing more bluish and purplish grays. So I have that pre-mixed, and it makes it easier if you have everything mixed up ahead of time. Okay. So this way you're not, what happens is you'll fudge. It's like, well, it doesn't exactly look like that color, but I'll put it in because I don't feel like mixing that color. Okay. So. And I'm not pointing fingers or anything, but, I do it too. So I see this looks a little bit like that's darker, and this has a little. And even in here, the tips of these feathers and this part of his or her. No, I guess it's a her. And then there's like a little shadow under the wing. Now, I have all this the same color, and even though it might look like it's all the same color there, I don't want to do that. I want to have more variety. So I'm going to pick up something else that it looks like it's in the shadow side, so I want to stay with a cooler color, so that means I'm in the purples, blues, maybe greens. So let's just have a little bit of, I can add more variety too when I get further along, but I just want to have something. And then right now I don't have any feather strokes, I don't have anything really that gives you the idea that this is a bird. Okay, so let's move into some lighter now. And if I'm going to get in the lighter, more sunlit areas, I'm going to pick up some of these warmer colors. Here's like a reddish, oh, it's kind of purple. Still not, I mean, it's starting, the thing that makes it look white at this stage would be that I have sort of a balance of my colors. They're not not one overtaking the other. Like I don't have more of the purpley color or more of the blue color, more of the greenish. Because if I did that, then it would start to look like something, you know, that's like a blue bird or a green bird. But you'll see when we finally get the highlights on here. Oh, so at this point, I'm not trying to do specific feathers, but my brush stroke direction is giving you that illusion that there are feathers. And I'm not blending it so much that the colors are disappearing. When I go from one color to the other, I'm dragging some accidentally. And that accidental stuff is I'm not sure how to explain that. When you do it accidentally, it looks a little bit more natural. Like I'm not concentrating on, okay, this is a feather and it has to have an edge like that. But I'll do some of the... Oh my gosh. Yes. And then this part of the bird is, I would normally probably suggest using two different brushes. A brush that has cooler colors and a brush that has warmer colors. I'm sort of scrubbing off my paintbrush on the canvas. And now it's a little thicker too. So I'm just looking here to get an idea of what the direction of those feathers might be. And I'm just, it's kind of clumped on the brush. And I'm not touching real hard. Because if I touch the canvas hard with that much paint on it, it's just gonna, well, I'll show you. Like I'll get rid of it. Goodbye. You know, it mushes into the rest of the color.
It'll blend.
It'll blend. That's a better word than mush, yes. And then let's give this bird a little highlight here on the, and now I'm not white yet. I'm just, it's not even close to being white, but it already makes it look a little bit lighter. And then right in there, I just want to get something. But the next thing I'm going to do before I go too much further is paint around it, because go around. It's really dark, but I'll lighten it up. I especially want to lighten it up wherever there's something dark. So like right in this area, I'd make the water lighter than it is so that it will pop out. Because usually the animal's face is the most, you know, the part that's the most interesting. And then back in here where it's already a little bit darker, if I put darker color there, then it fades away. It looks like it becomes part of the background, which is good because you want to decide what pops forward. And this part of the bird isn't interesting or it's not important, so I don't want it to have a lot of contrast there. There's going to be a little bit of shadow there, so I'm just, reflection, so I'm going to leave some space. And then I want to get lighter up here for the same reason that if I put it really dark up here, what's going to happen is that's going to draw, there's going to be more contrast and draw more attention. So I don't want it to be too much darker than the bird up here. And it also helps with getting this to look like water rather than a blue wall. Because if it gradually gets lighter as it goes away, you get that aerial perspective. So it makes it look like it's going further into the distance. And adding white to the color also tends to dull it down. So you'll get it duller, makes it something look far away. Lighter makes it look like there's something far away. Less contrast looks like far away. Less detail also. So if I'm going to put little ripples, I'll put the little ripples up front. I'm not going to put them way in the back. And I'll leave a little space for where the beak's going to go later. Okay, so switching brushes, so I can go back to my lighter brush. So I really want to make sure I have the shape more correct. And if that's going to be water, it's going to flood it out that way. I don't want to leave a halo of yellow around the bird. And here in the neck, it doesn't have lots of, they're little fluffy feathers. It's almost like downy. So the tapping gives you more of that texture. Then out in here where the feathers are more defined, they're longer. So out here, my stroke is gonna be a little bit more long. Or if it's like fluffy, it's gonna go out over the edge a little bit. I'm gonna concentrate on the lighter areas, so let me do that. So right in this area, it's like a transition between the shadow side and the warm side, or the sunlit side. I want to stay to the edge of it so that I can put my highlight on there, or the start of my highlight. Just want to keep a lot of paint on my brush. And maybe the lightest part here looks like this little, I don't know what that is. I guess it's the wing. There's a little bit more light. And all I did was make a couple little strokes and drag the paint out there for those feathers. Feathers might be, oh, I liked it, don't touch it. So if I can layer these lighter values on top of the stuff that I already have without over blending it, then I can get an idea, just give the idea of a form here, or the idea that there's feathers without really having a lot of work in it. So right in here, there's like a little lighter area. And I think there should be something in here, even though I'm not seeing it in the picture, but it just looks like it needs it to come further in. So when I'm going quick like that, and I just blended that little area, but just with one stroke of a brush, because I know that what I have on my brush now, I dirtied it up. So I don't want to keep playing in there, but I could use it to straighten some areas, especially around the head area. I want that to pop out a little bit. Right here where the cheek is. Be the front part of the neck. And this area right here needs to come out a little bit. So how do I know what to do with my brush? It's like trial and error. If I put the brush down and I see like this, it gave me a lot of little feathers. I really didn't do too much there. And I don't know if you can always stopped. A lot of times you'll do something that looks good and say, oh, I can make that even better, and then you go back in there and then you
lose it altogether.
Yeah, you blend it away.
And that's a bad habit to break.
That
takes experience.
Stopping, yeah, if you can stop, even if it's not perfect, because once it's dry, you can go back there and make it better. But when it's wet, if you try to go back in, if you have something like, I like these, looks like I have 4 or 5 little feathers and it was only one touch with the brush. And it's not exactly where I want it, but I'm going to leave it there because I like what it looks like. It doesn't have to be exactly what I see in the photo. And so I really haven't, I'm going to put the beak in because it's going to affect it that much. So here I just want to put it on the most important part. When the first stroke I'm going to take is where it's the lightest. So I think right here on his head. Maybe a little bit right here on the cheek. Then I'll go in here. Okay, so here it looks like it might be lighter. Maybe in here a little bit lighter. If I have an edge like here, I don't even think I would want to blend it. But if I would want to blend it, it's just a couple touches. So does that give you, it's not finished obviously, but does that give you like a better idea?
Yeah.
So if you look at like those, so I went back then. You can only go so far.